Like I've said before, I've been a fuck up for a long time now. I've been on the wrong path for a long time, and I want to talk a little bit more about what happened there. More specifically, my legal troubles. Unfortunately, I am a felon. Not federal. I didn't go that crazy, but mistakes have definitely been made that affect me to this day. So, let's go back to about the summer, beginning of summer of 2022. You know, I'm fresh out of high school, young and turnt. I'm doing cocaine. I'm just really not giving a shit. You know, I was just looking for exciting experiences and dopamine rushes, just like all the other degenerates in my generation. My friend and I had the bright idea to drive around town and shoot at innocent cars with some BB guns. We broke a couple windows. We scared the shit out of some innocent civilians, and they clocked my plates fast as fuck, and the cops found us and arrested us the same day. We both ended up getting felony menacing charges, and we both spent about a week in jail. Luckily, we got bailed out pretty quickly, but we both got 2 years probation, and I commend my friend because he really tightened up after that. He quit his drinking, he didn't fail a single UA, and he got his charges dropped successfully. He completed his 2 years probation with relatively no problem, and yeah, we're still really good friends to this day. Um, Unfortunately, I did not lock in after that. We kind of lived a little far away from each other, and I had my own little crew of shitheads, so we were just kind of doing different things. He chose to focus on his business, and I chose to focus on drugs. I was still drinking, I was still doing blow, and I didn't have my med card back then, so my weed usage uh, counted as a failure on the UAs. Um, that next summer in 2023, my probation officer sent me to a rehab facility to try and get me to chill out a little bit. I completed rehab successfully. Thank God I was able to stop drinking and doing the cocaine. But while I was there, I met yet another shithead that I was able to add to my crew. And me and this dude, even after all the shit that happened to us, we um we still thought we were invincible. We decided to start forging checks as a way to make a little money. One of those checks was quite large, at least for us. So we wanted to treat ourselves with a little vacation to California. We spent over $1,000, easily over $1,000, getting out there, buying shit while we're out there, getting back. And, I won't really get into the trip, you know, little intervention real quick. I don't know. I had never seen a beach before, so that shit was like low-key cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously I regret this entire thing, but I don't know. California is pretty cool. What can I say? But that doesn't excuse the degenerative behaviors we had to partake in to even make it out there. And not even mentioning the degenerative activities we did while we were out there. I won't even get into all that. But anyways, but by the time we got back to Colorado, the check ended up bouncing. You know when you like mobile deposit a check and they give you like half of it or like a portion of it right off the bat before the check even clears? That's basically what happened. You know, we got a big sum of money right off the bat, and as soon as it hit the bank, we dipped basically. So yeah, by the time we got back, the check bounced. You know, we didn't. You know, we were just fucking stupid, and he didn't fucking write it down right or whatever. I don't even know. I don't even care, honestly. But at that time, I was, you know, I had pretty bad anger issues. I've always had pretty bad anger issues ever since about middle school. I've been breaking shit. I've put a lot of holes in my wall. I used to yell at all my loved ones and all my friends. I was just very emotionally unintelligent, and I really couldn't control my anger. So at that point, I got really emotional and I got extremely angry when that check bounced. You know, all the money that we spent out there immediately went negative into my bank because it was my account that we were like depositing the money into. So when we got back, I was extremely angry at this dude. I went to his house. I went to his house. I lured him to a park nearby, and I threatened him with a knife to his throat, demanding he find the money to fix my negative bank balance. Total crash out, totally out of character. Reasonably, he immediately calls the cops, and I was arrested again a few months later for robbery because I took all the cash he had on him at the time, so they counted it as a robbery. Thank God I didn't get an assault charge because from what I've learned, that would be much, much worse. But anyways, yeah, this time I couldn't get bailed out as quickly because my bail was a lot higher because it was a much, much more serious charge. So I ended up selling my car to bail me out. I did about a month and a half in jail and another month and a half in a halfway house after that. If that sounds short for my charge, then you're absolutely right. Because by the grace of God, I got a real lawyer to do some pro bono work on my case. Because he believed in me and he saw my true character. You know, he knew that or he could sense that this wasn't like me. That was really my first wake up call. And I haven't let him down since. Yeah, he got me that halfway house, 3 years probation, some anger management classes, and some community service. So far, I've completed, obviously, the halfway house. I've completed all my anger management classes, and I'll definitely be done with my community service by the end of this summer. Yeah, my lawyer fought that case for 8 long months. So I was sentenced all that in 2024, I believe. So yeah, I'll be off papers by 2027. I've been really locked in with this shit ever since then. So, obviously I'm off drugs. I haven't failed a UA. I haven't gotten in trouble. So, I've been doing really, really well. So, all my restitution is paid from both cases. And so I hope to get off early. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but hey, I've been doing good. I expect to get off early. What's crazy about all of this is right after I did that shit, right after I threatened that dude, literally like a week later, I got a new job and I paid off my debt from my bank before the cops even got to me. So all of this was literally for nothing. For nothing. I hope you guys know that I'm not trying to brag here about any of this. I am trying to tell my truth and show you guys that the past is the past. It's history. You can't do anything about it. No matter how many times that you've made the same mistake, you can change. And you can change today. If you want to be somebody else, then start picking up their schedule today. If you keep wallowing in the pain of your past, then you will be cursed to be that same person forever. In this life, you can just do shit, even if it's against your character. Especially if your character is violent or degenerate or bummy or anything that isn't who you want to be, then absolutely start doing shit that is against your character. But yeah, if you want it, you have to want it. Because if you don't want to change, then I can't help you. I can't do anything about that, and neither can your loved ones. It's all up to you. You put yourself in whatever situation you're in. I've been really getting into radical acceptance and just 100% accountability, and I'll talk about that in a future video. But yeah, that's kind of what that's my story. That's kind of what I've been on recently. Thank you guys for listening. I really hope that my story can help inspire you guys to take the steps needed to become who you want to be. Christ is King.